is something pretty remarkable.
This is my movie.
These are our stories.
I am Real Works.
Are you recording right now?
It ruined my life because I lost my mother.
We were really at the age where it was going to affect us the most.
Listen to my story.
This is my story.
Get inspired by us teens.
This is where I can tell my story. Where teens from New York are given a voice. This is Real Works.
Welcome to Real Works. I'm Byron Hurt. Drugs and alcohol are everywhere. Chris Irrizarry was only 15 when he first chronicled his dream of reuniting with his mom and stepdad, both recovering addicts living in Philadelphia. His discovering, some wounds are just too deep to heal.
You can't stop an addiction. An addiction is addiction. You can stop it for a little while, but you go right back to it. It ruined my life because I lost my mother, I lost my father. I didn't even get to see my mother. My mother's always in and out of jail for selling drugs, getting caught buying drugs, getting caught doing drugs. It's affected my life because I'm not with her and I wish I was. She doesn't really call, she lies to me. Instead of just still, I'm 15 years old and she still can't tell me the truth. Tell me what my mom was like growing up in New York.
I remember your mother was my pride and joy. I expected a lot from your mother. She was a sweet child. She was always a good daughter until the age of 14. She came out pregnant, and I couldn't believe she had done such a thing.
My mother had 4 different kids from 3 different men. By 28, she was addicted to drugs. I lived with her in Philadelphia until I was 10. By then, things were bad, and I was taken to New York to live with my grandmother. I think parents who do drugs mess up their kids' head, mess up their mentality. They tell them things that won't really happen. Like my mom calls every Christmas, "Oh, what you want for Christmas?" And I tell her the same thing, "I want you to be here for Christmas." She's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be there, I'm gonna be there." She never comes. She never calls on Christmas. She'll call like a week and a month later to see how we're doing. But it's not the same. And my grandma's always telling me, don't listen to your mother because she puts stuff in your head that hurts you even more. Why do you think that she turned out this way?
I don't know. That I don't know. Maybe I failed her. I was working all the time. I was working, and I'm not saying that my marriage was the best. We had a very violent relationship. Maybe that's it. But I tried to give your mother what I'm giving to you, the best I can. And you finding it hard, put yourself in your mother's place. What did I do wrong? What am I doing wrong now?
My grandma and I had a lot of problems. We didn't get along. So I went to Philly to see my mother for the first time in 3 years. I heard she was clean. I thought I could convince her to come back to New York and live. Maybe there was a chance for a happy ending.
Hello, welcome to Philadelphia. Exit on 6 o'clock is now 5:52. Thank you for your cooperation with cell phones. Have a happy holiday.
This is where my mom used to sell drugs. It's still the same.
Yeah.
This is where I used to hang out when my mom used to be selling drugs down the block.
What's up? Hey. What you doing?
I told you I'll be back. This old little arcade that this guy that I knew made, but all the kids around there used to hang out there because most of their parents were on drugs, and I was one of those kids.
Good try.
It all started in Philly. It was just me, my mom, and my father. And I had nobody to look to and nobody to run to. So after my father went to jail, my mom didn't have money to cop drugs and she didn't have a job. So I had turned 9 years old when she started getting worse and worse and worse. She started throwing up, and it looked like she was throwing up her insides and stuff because she was throwing out blood and stuff. So I was getting scared and scared. So one day I just got up and I stopped going to school for about a month. And I went to a gas station right around the corner from me and I started working. I used to make $50 a day and I used to give all of it to my mom, and I used to take about $5. And she used to get all the drugs that she needed. I seen her do it. And every time I just close my eyes and I think about it, it hurts.
My name is Lizette Lugo, and I'm Christopher's mother. I've been getting high for 20 years.
What kind of drugs were you on?
Heroin and crack cocaine. I had an $800 habit a day.
Do you miss having your kids around?
Yes, I do. I don't want to go to New York because of people, places, and things. And I'm trying to stay clean. And since I've been here since '89 in Philadelphia, I've gotten around and I've gotten to know Philadelphia. I go to NA meetings and I go to IOP, intensive outpatient program, and that keeps me clean.
My stepfather's name is Blue. He started living with my mom when I was 2. I love him, but unfortunately, he had the same taste for drugs as my mom. Both of them were in and out of jail constantly.
My name is Dean Ortiz, a.k.a. Blue. I'm Christopher's stepfather.
How long was you with my mom?
A little over 14 years.
How long were you on drugs?
Close to 20-something years. I come from the Badlands of Philadelphia. I guess I graduated from high school, and then after that I just started hanging out with the wrong crowd. I wanted to be part of the crowd, and one thing lead to another, and I just started using. I started off slowly with reefer, a little bit of beer, got into some pills, and then it led on to some heavy stuff, heroin, top of the line. Nobody plans to become a drug addict. It just, drugs takes over your life, and drug was my life. And now I sit back and look at that, and I was a fool.
How long have you been off drugs?
Right now, close to 3 years.
Do you think you'll go back to drugs?
If I have it my way, I'm hoping not to. I just take it one day at a time right now.
Have you ever been to jail for drugs?
Yes, plenty of times.
Philly wasn't what I expected. My mom was different from what I had hoped. She's off drugs, but there's something missing. We can't go back to what it was like before she got on drugs. When I first learned how to ride my bike, I remember she was there taking pictures and stuff, laughing with my other brother Charlie and my brother John. They had just took my training wheels off, so I started riding, and my mom was like, "Chris, you're doing it, you're doing it." And I was so happy. And then I fell into a puddle of mud, and my mom was there to pick me up. So I remember that. I love my mom to death. No matter how much drugs she takes, no matter what she does, that's my mother. She gave birth to me, so I'm gonna love her.
It's been almost 7 years since Chris traveled to Philadelphia to reunite with his mother. We sat down with Chris to see where life has taken him since then.
My name is Chris Irrizarry. I'm 22 years old. I made my film Happy Ending for RealWorks when I was 15. Well, it's been 7 years since I made the film. I've been working, staying out of trouble, going back to school, doing everything I should have did at 15. I'm doing it later on. I'm still living with my grandmother at home, and I could tell pretty much I'm taking care of her and not the other way around. I watch out for her. I make sure she still keeps her state of mind. I want to become a cop. I want to become a cop to take people off the streets that are selling drugs, you know, selling drugs to kids, selling drugs to people's parents. Making the film was very therapeutic for me. It made me closer with my mother, closer with my grandmother, because they knew how I felt. Once they seen the film spoke for itself. I really didn't have to tell them how I felt. Like, that film answered so many questions they had, and it just let me be who I was. On the trip to Philly, there was so many questions I had that were unanswered. Some to this day that I don't think anybody can answer. But it did get answered why she chose drugs over me. When you're addicted to something that's not good, it can't motivate you to do anything better for yourself. If you look at the interview with my grandmother, she said that my mom had a tough lifestyle. My grandmother was always working, so she really wasn't a grandmother like she is to us. She wasn't a mother the way she's a grandmother to us, because we look at her as our mother now, since she's practically raised us for so long. She always spoke that she never gave the attention. She tried to spoil my mother. Instead of giving her love and affection, she tried to spoil her with the best. And my mom rebelled against it, I guess. I guess she didn't want to be spoiled. I guess she wanted to be loved. My grandmother always says, you make your bed, you lie in it. So once I finished the film and I got the answers that I needed to know, it's true, my mom made her bed. Now she's lying in it. I don't want to make the same mistakes and go up the same path. So I don't regret what she did, because honestly, living in the streets and growing up with a drug-addicted mother made me a stronger person. I thank my mother every day, because I look at my brother Josh, I look at my brother Charlie, and we're all different. Every one of us is different.
And she used to get all the drugs that she needed. I seen her do it. And every time I just close my eyes,
it wasn't things that she taught me. It was things I've learned living with her. So it was an experience that I carry with me for the rest of my life. Something that you can't forget. You can't forget the bad experiences. You can't forget the good experiences. But I'm just glad that I survived the experience and that I'm able to keep going with my life.
What's the list of every drug you've ever done in your life?
Cocaine, heroin.
Age and list.
Cocaine when I was 11.
Happy New Year,
Heroin
you
when
too.
I was
I'm
16.
happy.
Crack,
I lost it,
16. Ecstasy, 18. Acid, 17. Shrooms, 15. DXM.
Everything.
DXM. 14.
Everyone's done DXM.
Xanax, Oxycontin, Loratabs, 13.
So Yasha, I mean, it's a very, very powerful story about the lives of these, of your friends and people that you know. How did you get the people in your film to open up and to be so honest about their drug use?
I knew most of them before they started doing drugs. They're comfortable around me. I think that's the main reason that made this movie work. If it was anybody else, I don't think it would have been that open and that truthful.
I don't think we're rotting away because this is just what people do. It's been like this, you know? People always think it's getting worse, and sometimes it is getting worse. We have to find ourselves. I mean, eventually, we can't just do this forever, you know? We'll all become homeless, and that's not gonna happen, you know? We're gonna grow up.
At first, I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do with all this footage. I was like, I'm never gonna make a successful movie. My mentor, Kirsten Johnson, she's been really helpful. Like, she comes down on Saturdays. We will just like work a full day, just editing all day till like we have headaches.
In some ways, it's our connective tissue between our lifestyle in New York.
Yeah.
But so what we're gonna do?
That was definitely helpful. I don't think I could have done as good of a job without her.
As I was watching the piece, and the further we got into the piece, I started feeling sad. And then I told you that I was feeling sad, and you said that that's kind of what you wanted. What is it that you want the viewer to take away from this?
I want them to see what's going on. You know, there's something that is going on, and it's happening here in New York City. It's happening everywhere, but I think it's important for people to know that.
With this film, you're actually forcing viewers, and many who are going to see this, adults, to see a world that they may not really know or haven't experienced.
People don't want to see all the ugly stuff. They only want to see the pretty stuff going on. They want to ignore the rest. But when you're watching it right in front of your face, you can't really lie to yourself. It's in front of you.
You know, in the piece, we see teenagers who are having a good time and partying. We don't hear the voices of their parents or any adults. Why did you make that decision, not to talk to any parents?
Because a lot of these kids, the parents are pretty absent, you know. Or they're not strict enough, or they don't even know what's going on. But to not know what's going on, you have to be pretty absent at that point. Like, some of these parents do drugs themselves. Some of these kids are allowed to, like, smoke and drink in their house in front of their parents, you know. I feel like parents make it easy in a way. Some parents do.
Son, if you ain't freebase meth out of a light bulb, then you have no idea what drugs is.
The whole entire time I'm watching this, I'm thinking about my own daughter. And I have like an eight-month-old daughter, you know, and I'm already thinking down the line to these years. And, you know, one of the things that this piece showed me is that it's very difficult to be a teenager. And there's so many pressures, you know, to conform, to be accepted by your friends and your peers. So I just want to thank you personally for making this. You know, because as an adult, it made me think. And it opened my eyes to a world that, you know, we should probably pay a whole lot more attention to. So thank you, man. Good job, man.
No problem.
Good job, man.
I'm glad I was helpful. Thank you.
Yeah.
The first time I cut school was in 8th grade. Me and my friend Dave didn't want to go to science class.
In about 8th grade, I started hanging out with a bunch of kids that would only cut school and smoke weed all day. My parents would find out, the school found out. Didn't help anything, but I still did it anyway, because, you know, school wasn't the place for me.
I remember the first time I started cutting. I started cutting with Will, I started cutting with John, everybody.
I really don't go to school no more, so it's like, it's kind of addictive, you know? It's like a drug. You stop going to school and you just stop.
I'm from Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Now, my block like a black hole. There's no good in my block. Even the little kids are bad.
Come on, get on him, man. Oh, he's throwing punches.
During elementary school, I was the smartest kid in the class. Every grade, smartest kid in the class, hands down.
He always went to school, came home with good grades, certificates, and the exams he took.
Then my father left us. Like, that kind of put me down a little bit. Then my aunt died. She's my favorite aunt. She was sharing needles. And then she got HIV. She became HIV positive. So after that, decided never to do drugs, you know. That wasn't me. And I never do drugs.
I can't stand school, from the kids to the teachers. I can't focus in class. That's just days out. School bores me. So I just stopped going.
But then I started getting letters from school. He was supposedly going to summer school. He wasn't going to summer school.
I got grounded badly, you know. I couldn't leave my room or anything.
No more letters, no more phone calls, and his grades were coming up.
She wasn't getting any letters because I took them right out the mailbox, right before she got home. She wasn't getting any phone calls from our teachers because I was disconnecting the phone. I was even deleting the messages on the answering machine.
You have one new message. Dear proposers from high school telecommunications arts and technology, this is S1E1 security officer. Officer calls let you know. Your son has not served the past week. Can you tell to report to office first thing tomorrow morning? Message deleted. End of messages.
Chilling with Eric and John, I seen a lot of drugs. A lot of drugs like weed, coke, acid, ecstasy, shrooms.
I remember the crazy that I did in school was when I took 2.5 hits on acid. Yeah, that was crazy. It was my first time. I didn't think it was gonna be that intense.
Cocaine became one of my favorite drugs, and weed just didn't do it as much anymore. You know, I like being up. I didn't like just chilling, baking in the sun.
I seen a brick of coke, man. That was crazy. I seen the guy cutting up coke a bit like that's big, you know? It was dangerous not being in school. I've seen a lot of people get stabbed. I've seen people get beat up. I've seen people get their faces cut, you know? For just stupid.
It was one incident on, I think, 3rd Avenue at the handball courts.
The ball went over the wall.
All of a sudden, we go over there to the other side. These punk ass don't want to give us the ball back.
So Will went over there like, yo, run that ball.
Will's beating some and of course tries to pull out a blade.
That's how gets when you're not in school. That's why need to go to school, B.
After I almost got stabbed, it's just like, yo, it's time for you to go back to school. I started going to school, you know? But it's just like, I wasn't used to school. It was so hard to go back to school. Like, nobody understands how hard it was to go back to school.
He's still lying to me. This is from literature. It's a recent. He's uncooperative, bad behavior in class, missing projects, unreturned school property, low grades on test quizzes, inattentive in class, at risk of failing his classes. He has never reported to this class.
I just had a meeting with my guidance counselor. She told me it's gonna take me 2 years
to finish high school with night school and summer school. It feels like college is so far from my reach right now. I don't know if I can do another 2 years of high school.
That's it for this week. Join us next time for more unfiltered voices of Brooklyn youth on Real Works.